Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Angela Ost. I am the Director of Plan Giving at Cornerstone Advisors Asset Management, and joining me is my colleague Steve Link, Cornerstone's Director of Philanthropic Services. Hello, Steve. How are you?
Hi, Angela. How are you today?
Wonderful, thank you. So, Steve, one thing I think that we do really well at Cornerstone, amongst other things, of course, is the fact that we really listen to our clients. We listen to their challenges, we listen to their pain points, and this could be a number of things. This could be the administration of their retirement plans, the investment of their endowment funds, generating gift revenue, or delivering timely administration of planned gifts. But I've been doing this for a lot of years, and one thing that I have heard time and time again from our clients is the challenge associated with a gap in staffing and the impact that that has on the continuity of revenue for their plan giving programs. And, sometimes this is just an issue of the fact that a lot of organizations don't have a dedicated plan giving team. So, whether it's a temporary or a permanent loss of an employee, it's a real challenge for that organization. This really prompted us just to dig a little deeper and figure out how can we help organizations ensure momentum during these times of a loss of a staff member. So, Cornerstone offers what we call flexible interim staffing services. And this is really a temporary fill of a position at your organization so that momentum is continued. So, before we jump into options and how this all looks, Steve, help me understand what are the ramifications of not having a person actively working in an area, even if it's for a short period of time, say 3 months, for example?
Well, Angela, it will come as no surprise probably to anybody watching this. The biggest ramification is the negative impact on cash flow, both in the short term and potentially in the long term. The loss of continuity in conversation with donors, the loss of stewardship with donors can have long-lasting impact. It can certainly slow a gift conversation if this is a temporary departure or leave, but it can actually derail a conversation if we get past the point at which the donor is no longer interested in the conversation or they're frustrated and have decided to move on and try and find the impact that they want to have with a different organization.
So, how do you assess the situation then?
This really depends upon what type of organization you have, what this individual who is either temporarily or permanently no longer with you, what they were doing, what their role was, how many people reported to them, how many different hats were they wearing, or whether they were your sole expertise in the plan giving area and a lot of people were dependent upon them for counsel. So from the standpoint of the multiple hat wearer, I think the question for leadership up the chain is what were the most critical functions being fulfilled by that individual, and how do we replace that in a way that looks as seamless as possible to our external stakeholders and also to those who are dependent upon that individual internally, without sacrificing authenticity, trust, or the long-term relationships.
What about if you're the sole plan giving professional? What type of question should you be thinking about?
So the question is actually going to be in the mind of the person that sole practitioner reports to, and where that person will have to be thinking is how to ensure the long-term continuity of the program, but also are there people in the organization who could step into this role either on a temporary basis if this is a temporary leave, or someone who has potential to step into the role and grow into it to replace that individual if this was a permanent separation. But the biggest thing is you want to steadily build the pipeline of future gifts through stewardship of existing donors and planting the seeds for new donors to fill that pipeline.
And let's say, for example, this is a situation that I come into a lot, but let's say you're senior leadership and you just learned that one of your staff members is leaving. What type of question should you be thinking about?
Um, I would be thinking about, is this an opportunity to do something different from what we've been doing? And that isn't our natural inclination. I think many times as human beings, we simply want to stop the pain and fill the hole, fill the gap. But this really is an opportunity if somebody is gone on a permanent basis to look and say, is this the right kind of program for us for our long-term future goals? And are there things we might want to change? And I don't think that will probably come as a surprise to senior leadership either. So two things to be thinking about, have we been in a purely reactive program, or is this a proactive program and we have a lot we need to fill to be successful? So there, as I said, there are two types of programs. The reactive programs do some marketing, but they are primarily dependent upon people raising their hand or reaching out to us as an organization to express interest in creating a legacy gift or remembering us in some kind of transformational gift. That can be very effective. It tends to be more lumpy in terms of cash flow to the organization. A higher ROI program is a proactive program where we are intentionally, systematically marketing to people the options that they have to include us in their long-term plans. With that, though, there is also a component piece where we are looking at our own data analytics, and identifying the most likely candidates for plan gifts, and then proactively reaching out to those individuals on an individual basis to engage in conversation, to explore their potential interest in remembering us in their long-term plans, and then helping educate them in how they can go about doing this in a way that is most effective in meeting not just our goals, but their goals. So their goals for their family, their goals for their community, and their goals for us.
So obviously every organization is so different. What are the different ways that Cornerstone can structure this service and this relationship for an organization?
So just as we've termed this service, this is all about flexibility in meeting you and your organization where you are, and also thinking with you about intentionally where you would like to go. So we can do everything from be on site, whether that's 1 or 2 days a week, managing the program and any existing staff. We can do a mix of remote and on site, depending upon your wishes and what you want to budget to do this. We can be fully remote. One of the key things, though, if there are staff, is how do you ensure ongoing mentoring of staff, particularly if you think you can pull some of your existing staff into the role that has been vacated for a successful future. We can help in the identification of those staff internally who seem to have the skill sets and the potential to successfully make this migration. We can also help you think about potential staff externally, and then ultimately helping to onboard the staff so that you have continuity from the departure through to the new person on board and letting them get up to speed.
Great. So flexibility is key for this relationship. There's so many different ways to structure it, and we understand that, which is why we are handling it the way that we are. So, Steve, just to wrap up a little bit here, what are some closing thoughts?
So the biggest concern with gaps in continuity is the cost. It can be extremely expensive, especially if we have ongoing donors that need to be stewarded who become disenchanted with us because they're not getting a response to their questions or their inquiries, their desire to continue building their plans. There are Those are the seen things where we potentially risk a gift we already know about. There are also the unseen costs, and those include not filling the pipeline and not moving people along, not identifying new prospects for this type of gift, and not being responsive to those new requests that come in, and having them get frustrated and move on, or simply move on with their life. And this then takes a lower priority. So much of what we do is dependent upon meeting people where they are on their timetable. And if we have this gap in continuity, we can miss that golden moment when somebody not only raises their hand, but they're ready to actually make a plan. Um, and these are long-term plans, but if people don't have a positive experience with their first interaction, the likelihood of success diminishes. So we need to be there when they need information to provide to their professional advisors to update their wills or update beneficiary designation forms. And it's really important that we provide this continuity to our donors and also to our internal staff who need guidance from the person who is sitting in this seat. Um, we have designed this intentionally to be flexible, to meet your organization where you are, and to help you migrate to what will hopefully be a much higher return on investment program.
As always, Steve, thank you so much for your insight. We certainly appreciate it. We appreciate everybody tuning in and listening about the flexible interim staffing services. And please contact us now or in the future to explore creating any type of continuity plan. And remember, it's always best to do this before a staff member leaves, not when that individual is no longer with your organization. So thank you again, and we hope to hear from you all.